So this week I did two things primarily. I added a tremolo effect um, first, and a tremolo effect is basically instead of using our low frequency oscillator to do frequency modulation, so FM, I added a button that'll let you switch to use it to be amplitude modulation. So that means that um, the gain or the volume of the sound coming out is going to go up and down in a sine wave from 0 to whatever it's set at. And so to do that, I created a button that's going to flip between AM and FM, so you get to choose, and that's going to be above the LFO slider. And then when that button's clicked, it switches between modes, and it will pass that kind of a Boolean value into the synth voice class, which is going to do our audio processing. And so I have here, this gain ramp is like our normal gain from before, and I copied into affected gain. And then if that AM state is on, it's going to change what the gain is according to the sine wave, so it's going to modulate it. And that gets added to the main wave, which goes through and will have the gain effect on everything except for the reverb and delay, so that those will still work unencumbered by this changing gain. So the way that sounds, so this is the LFO. Before frequency modulation gives us this little um, change in frequency. Amplitude changes the gain. And then the other thing I did this week was I needed to add kind of a help for this visual area. We changed a few things here, and then these dials kind of blend in to the background, which we like the effect, but then people are kind of confused on what to do with them. So I added this info button, and that will tell you what each of these things is for, and then it works for the arpeggiator as well. When you click on that, you get a few different things. So I added that by, first I have a look and feel class, so that I couldn't actually make these rounded, and it looked really ugly. So I had a few things done, and right here I have a label look and feel to make it draw how I want it to. And then I use that look and feel for all of my little label objects that in my editor I've added labels for all these different buttons in that main area, the visual area. And then they toggle between being shown and not in a little handler function for button clicked. If it is either sometimes if you're clicking the info button, it's going to flip on that state and show everything, or remove them. So here's where they get removed, and before, if you flip it onto true, it'll add all those labels to the visual area. There's also a situation where maybe these are on, the info's on, but I'm not showing these arpeggiator buttons up at the top right. And so in this instance, I don't want that to be shown. So I've also added, if you're clicking on the ARP button, if it's showing and that info button is showing, or info button has been clicked, then show it. Otherwise, you don't want to show it if you haven't clicked on the arpeggiator button. And so that's all I did for this week. And then I did a few more things to kind of clean up, and next week will be cleaning up and getting our final reports ready, as well as one thing we wanted to do was have a landing page for our project so you could download things. And that's my week.